Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out and generate more leads, more sales, more profits. More importantly, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and make a bigger contribution.
Really get clarity on like what you want your business to be. Because you can either own the business or it can own you. If you're just chasing the dollar, if you're just chasing transactions, if you're just chasing growth.
All right, Dan, welcome to the call. It's good to have you here.
Same here, Neil. Thank you.
All right, so we were just jamming on your history. Let's get into that in just a minute. But first off, let's tell people maybe what you're doing and why they should be listening to the next 20 minutes of your superior intellect and knowledge and why they want to focus on what you're doing.
Well, first, I would say don't believe a word I say. How about that?
Liar.
Because the only thing I can share from and teach from is my own personal experience at the end of the day, right? And there's not such thing as a one-size-fits-all model.
That's true.
In my opinion.
Super true.
There are nuances, there are distinctions and different things like that. What I would say is if you're struggling to grow your business and get clients daily, then try what I'll share with you and see how it works for you. Give it like 90 days, see how it works for you, and then report back and let us know how it may have worked. And in most cases today, Neil, we see, I have a lot of fun helping companies grow and scale and, do all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah, you're very good into the direct response component. We're going to talk about that today, into the direct marketing and consumer aggregation, of course, finding the right fit for the right client. I know that's a big thing we talked about in the past. And of course, pivoting in business, which is a big component of obviously having successful measure in business that we've all experienced. It's the one commonality across all entrepreneurs. They never started one thing and became successful. They started 10 things. And then one of those things became successful after the 8 things didn't kill them, right?
That's right.
So let's talk in depth a little bit more about some of these things. Talk about what it means to be a direct response marketer for you.
Yeah. So our framework, so direct response marketing, I actually feel is outdated. Traditional marketing is outdated. And so direct response marketing is, the short version of this is putting out a marketing message that you can easily measure to know what kind of a result you got from it. So it's results based, essentially.
Yeah. It's what we call deep funnel linking or deep marketing. Which again, in direct response, the concept is 1 or 2 touch points or up to 7 touch points that occur. In my experience and where I know you're going with this combo is why I like that. And I wanted to hook that out there so people can get into it is, what does it take for somebody to touch me, however many times it takes them to touch me in whatever time frame that takes over a maybe even 2-3 month period. So that my long-term relationship with them becomes a more valuable resource than how many clients I have, but how well I serve and how deep I go with each of my clients. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, our version of this, we call it direct response branding, right? For the small business under $25 million a year, Neil, like we've talked about, is most companies that are like leading with branding, because there's certain experts that are still out there teaching, which is just drives me crazy as they're going, to build your business, you should post like 50 to 60 times a day, which is utter crap for most small business owners and CEOs and founders and or their teams that are being trained to do this sort of thing, right? It's the emergence of these 2 connections together, direct response, branding, gives you the greatest impact, the greatest result, the greatest outcome to, give you the best chance to grow exponentially.
It actually pulls the value closer into the times that you actually do engage with them, as opposed to what I call the white noise of marketing, which is that how many times did I post a day and how much content can I push out there? Nothing against Gary Vee and that whole thing, but I really think that that's kind of messed with people a little bit. And it sounds to me like you've also had that same experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of stats on the clients we work with, probably like you too, right? We're big on data-driven decision making, and so many times people have kind of bought into a version of that, posting all these times and then go, how many clients did you get from that? And they go, 0. How long you been doing that? Oh, I've been doing that for 5 years.
5 years.
Why did you keep doing it?
Somebody the other day who was like, I shut my podcast down finally. And I'm like, well, how long have you been doing it? well, like 3 years. And I'm like, well, what did it do for you? Like, why are, and they really couldn't quantify it. Other than they could quantify the negative response at the time in which they took to do it. Right.
Yep.
So obviously you're into breaking through these barriers. What are some of the things you would suggest maybe for people that, are your own historical and experience, as you talk a little bit more about yourself, that you've learned to overcome in your own business? Because you've had some great successes, and I want to focus on some of those.
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I've learned mostly, from, like many people, from failure, right? So I got started with my first business officially in the late 1980s, but I'll call them a first company that was a 7-figure business in 1992. And we were fortunate to build that to 7 figures in just a couple of months. I was 22-year-old kid and hit it. But what I learned is I wasn't good at running a business. We were good at marketing. We were good at selling. We were good at helping our clients do marketing. And I wasn't good at running a business. And so I had to go through a few failures, bankruptcy and, some stuff that got in the way, got the dirty t-shirt to prove it. That ultimately got me to a place where since then I've had multiple 7 and 8-figure companies, had grown a big coaching business to over 25 million a year. And then I had a publishing business where we were generating over 2,000 new clients a week and over 10,000 subscribers a day, and leads a day, which, was a lot of fun. We learned from that media. And now, we get to help clients install systems, right? And so if I had to say a couple things that have been valuable in learning is, number one is, really get clarity on like what you want your business to be. Because you can either own the business or it can own you. If you're just chasing the dollar, if you're just chasing transactions, if you're just chasing growth, right? So I'd encourage you to look at getting clarity on like, what do you really want your business to be? In other words, what's your vision of it? And then how, like for me, big mistake I made in the early days, I just, I have a type A personality, Neil, and I can run at 105 miles an hour and I did literally it put me in a hospital for 4 days where I needed a heart procedure.
Oh, wow.
17 years ago. I don't even know if I shared that.
No, yeah, I didn't know that, huh?
It was a huge wake up call. And at the time I was running this big company, 175 employees, 3 offices that we had grown from like a den with a volunteer, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah.
And then I was able to, because of that experience, it was one of the main reasons that I decided to sell for my own personal health. But then I really had a coach who said, Dan, what do you really want? And I realized what I wanted was more freedom. And I had built this kind of box around my business. And so selling was one option, and it was a good option, and very grateful that I had that ability, of course, to do that. And today, not only do I spend a lot of time with my wife, I also get a chance to spend a lot, not just quality time, but quantity time with my kids. They're now 16 and 14. I've basically been around every day to help see them and work with them and grow up in all their activities. For many years, close to a decade. And on top of that, in running our business, I also coach high school football. And I've done that for the last 5 because I love building young men. And there's a lot of 14, 18-year-old young men that, in a lot of ways, I feel men or boys have been demasculated. And so to give them an, accessibility to leadership and, success traits, that it's more for me off the field stuff, Neil, than on the field.
No, it's powerful. It's powerful what you do.
And built all these little mini, call it platforms for, helping people reach their potential, either in the business or otherwise.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And you kind of remind me, I mean, you jokingly said your age, and I'm not going to say, but there was a meme you said a minute ago that reminded me of you. And it's like, there's the 80-year-old guy who's like, hey, I've been online for years and I'm only 30. But he looks like he's 80. People would not recognize that you're only like 30 years old. But yeah, you're a good guy. But your history and your family, and I appreciate the lifestyle by design phrase came into my mind when I was listening to you talk. And it's something that you actually applied through the experience and some of your mistakes. And hopefully somebody listening to this will avoid that. Because I did the same thing as we were talking, right? I grew and had the business and got involved in the companies and leveraged myself too hard into it, and then went bankrupt and went through all that nonsense and had to reinvent myself. Quite honestly, you and others who are some of the most successful people I know have all had major failures that everyone else is still afraid of.
Right.
And while we not want you to go through that, that wasn't really the point. Maybe you could avoid it, but you can't avoid all mistakes. And, all mistakes are going to make you into something different. You shouldn't avoid all mistakes. And I think that's part of, what I'm taking away from what you said. So in terms of response, in terms of this year, in terms of things you're doing to continue to propagate that message, what is your biggest focus point? Obviously, coaching Little League football for men, boys to become great men, which is like probably the most critical and wonderful thing I think you could be doing outside of business. What else are you focused on?
Well, being a husband, being present with my wife, and us being best friends, and just celebrating life, because every day's a gift. And I think we all get to realize that more and more over these last couple of years. Being a dad for my kids, and then from the business point of view, is really working with great clients, with these strategies to help companies get a sales and marketing system in place to help them grow with less stress and to get free from the day to day. Because like when you have the right sales and marketing system in place, many times it can be that dream come true solution if you do it by design. So that's one part of the business. Separately, this will maybe be really kind of funny to a degree, but I'm writing a new book called Direct Response Branding. So this is literally me handwriting it. So I record a video. So this, by the way, if you want to write a book, here's a couple simple tips of how a version I do, which is I record a video of the concepts and I transcribe it. And then I take that transcription and I start free flow writing with that combination. And literally I'll have the book done in less than 60 days as far as the first draft. Which
that sounds like another program ready to go. Dan Kuschell.
Thank you. So that's another big thing. And then, coach our high school football, believe it or not, even though fall is the season for high school football, literally I start Monday with call it preseason camps and training and different things like that.
Well, dude, you are a busy guy.
Having fun, right?
Yeah.
Here's something else.
Yeah, what's up?
I got a little fluffy, truth be told. This is a damaging confession, but if you're a type A driver, creator, visionary type, maybe you can relate to this a little bit, where sometimes your health might take a back seat. And damaging confession, mine did last quarter of last year. So I got a little fluffy, I call it. And
my wife says the same phrase.
Yeah. And
I've never heard anybody else use that, just by the way.
Yeah. And so one day, like between the 25th and the 1st of the year, I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, that looks like melted ice cream. And I was like,
ice cream.
Oh, terrible. No. Like melted ice cream. Just, oh my God. So I had enough, right? And Tony Robbins has always taught, if you're, it's got to be a must, not just a should.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, seeing a melted ice cream on my body everywhere, I was like, I got to do something about this. So, but I needed to find some, because I've had a knee issue for quite a few years now, after tearing a PCL and severely spraining an MCL and an ACL.
Oh, ouch.
Coaching on the sideline, which is crazy to think about. So I, gotten this a little bit fluffy. So I talked to a friend of mine, Jason, and said, hey, I noticed you got in some really great shape. And he said, well, let me hook you up with my guy, JT. And what I love about the program he put me on is he said, Neil, look, Dan, stop doing everything you're doing. And I don't want you doing weights up front. We'll get to it. But initially, all I want you to do is walk. I'm like, are you sure? Like, you want me to just walk? He goes, yes, I want you to walk for about 45 minutes to an hour a day. Can you do that? I'm like, that sounds like too good to be true. Yeah, I can do that. And then on top of that, he set me up with the nutrition. I said, but it can't be extreme, because it needs to be something that's a lifestyle, right? So long and the short, no extreme diet, no extreme exercise, and 45 minutes to an hour a day. I am approximately just short of 60 days into the program. I've let go of, shed over 30 pounds as of today, right? Which I feel great. And this is a weight I was in high school, my sophomore year, which feels really great. And it's just the pressure off my body, my heart's strong, all those sorts. So that's another thing, is the fitness for life, and especially being I'm 52, I'll be 53 in a couple months.
Oh well, we're not sharing age on here. Come on now.
Oh, that's right. But fit for life, right?
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Just what I think great, how can you be great in your business? Like if our fitness isn't there or our home life is a wreck. So if our body's a wreck or our home life's a wreck, I think ultimately it will catch up in the business. So, what I love about you, Neil, what I love about what you represent, what you stand for is front stage and backstage connect, right? You can have the best of it all. Meaning you can have a great at-home life, great fitness, and a great business. You don't have to give up one, despite what a lot of experts may have led you or I to believe. You can have it all. So anyway.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say that. Yeah, it's a balance of life and eating. It's a huge thing. And I still have 20 to get off myself. And I don't even told you this, but when I was 19, I blew out my ACL. I was actually going to do a pickup game when going to go red letter because I wasn't on the team. And I get an intramural game of football and boom, blew out the ACL. And that was the end of it. So those are extremely painful and they're hard to come back from. So kudos for you getting out there and getting back from that, because that's a challenge. I've been there.
As I look back, I probably should have done the surgery, but I
did the full surgery.
I didn't want to do it.
I'll end up having to do the other one at some point. It still bothers me. It's my old creaky man knee that I like to joke about. When the weather's changing, it's like, oh, the knee is getting achy. Yes. But yeah, everybody has different ways of doing that, walking or whatever. And we live in the country, so a lot of my stuff out here is physical labor. I jokingly say I don't need to go to a CrossFit in a gym because I can do tractor tires and tires out here, and I can do logs and do all kinds of stuff and chainsaw for hours.
I'm picturing Rocky in the snow walking through with logs and doing the workout.
Just got back from the snow because we got almost an inch of ice out here, and we're having to get water for the animals and take care of things and go out, even though it's like 12 degrees and a negative wind chill. You still got to get out there and take care of the animals. But I designed this life and I love that. And other people might hate it, but we love the way we live our lifestyle. And it's such a big, important factor in mindset, really is, when you get to where you love, because if, like you just said very succinctly, if the mind is not right, then the food will take you, and then the body takes you, and then the business will eventually go, and they're all interconnected. I mean, you said that very well. And you're doing very wonderful things with those. So tell me a little bit more about Breakthrough.
Yeah. So Breakthrough 3X, been very fortunate. We've been running, it's a boutique business. Essentially, we work with clients, Neil, where we're kind of like a virtual fractional CMO and team to implement, right? So we go beyond traditional consulting. We go beyond traditional coaching. We go beyond traditional agencies to basically walk into a business and become a strategic growth partner as a fractional CMO and team, right? To help them grow and scale their business. We're performance-based, so the better our clients do, the better we do, right? And we have a lot of fun. Our highest value client to this point has paid us about $1 million as a business because we helped them grow by over 10 million, which, if you do the math, that's free to a client, which we feel we should be free to a client. So, we incorporate a lot of things with our team where, if someone needs services done, because for example, a lot of people struggle with an offer, right? So I've built most of the things in our business almost like a franchise system that not only we use, and I've used for decades running our business and growing them, but also when we work with clients, we're basically building it on tools and systems so people can then run those systems, right? Kind of evolved out of my work initially way back when with the E-Myth and Michael Gerber, right? We just happen to focus mostly on marketing systems and selling systems, right? So it can, go beyond the owner, go beyond the founder or visionary creator. So it's a lot of fun. So if someone needs, help with, creating their model or their funnels or their offers or copywriting or tech issues or SEO, we've got a team that can go just get all that stuff done and done fractionally, right? At a fraction of what they would pay all these different team members to do it. So,
and guys, I know, Dan, I know you're serious because, obviously I know your business and I know who you are and I know who you're connected to. And I have actually one of your clients who's coming on in about 2 or 3 shows from here in an episode.
Oh, amazing.
To talk here as a high voltage business builder who reached that pinnacle in business because of what you guys did for him and his team. So I'm excited to have him come on here and chat about it. And so anybody listening to this today, if you're interested in connecting with Dan, go check out Breakthrough, go look him up. What's the best way? Do they just want to Google you, go to LinkedIn, Facebook?
Yeah, if you want to Google, my name's a little tough to spell, but go to breakthrough3x.com. Real simple. You can learn more about what we're doing, how we're doing it, some of the clients we worked with, our case studies. If you want to get, kind of a taste of what we're up to, we put together for the show a special small business toolkit that includes a handful of tools. Number one, I built a tool for me originally 20 some years ago called the CEO checklist, because I'm not a trained CEO at school. It was trained by running businesses, growing companies, etc. School of hard knocks. So like literally up on our wall, I've got my CEO checklist that I use to keep me on track yearly, quarterly, monthly, and annually, or weekly and daily. And broken down, where just with check marks, it just keeps me on track to handle the things that as a CEO we can cover. So we're going to give you that CEO checklist. In addition, we have a hiring checklist. And basically how we look at hiring is build a marketing system for hiring, because who wants to waste hours and hours with unqualified prospects or candidates? And there's a much more effective way. So we can show you, we have an 8-step blueprint that shows you how to build essentially your version of a hiring marketing model to hire right the first time, all the time. The next tool is something called casual conversations that lead to conversions, right? This was a tool that in one of our companies, the coaching business, where we turn literally customer service people, Neil, into high performers. And lots of people said it couldn't be done because it's a different skill. And it is a different skill set. But what we were able to do with this 12-step checklist is train our team on how to use the 12-step checklist to become high performers. So we're going to give you that checklist and outline that you can model, use, and implement. For some people, we've had people tell us that's been worth minimum 6 figures a quarter for them, that one single tool, and more. So you can go to activate.breakthrough3x.com, activate.breakthrough3x.com, and you get that small business toolkit for free. And then, as a follower of Neil's and being a part of this show, if you have any questions whatsoever, please just reach out at our email, which you'll see in our follow-up, help@breakthrough3x.com. Hit me up. Let me know. We run a boutique business and have a lot of fun helping clients. So if we can help solve some of your challenges growing your business, we'd love to.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to get connected through me too and get a personal relationship with Dan, you know how to connect with me, please do. In the show notes will be those links as well for anybody who wants to get on. And of course, you can check out his social media and stuff. And I encourage you, if you're looking for leads, if you got an offer, if you're coaching, if you're just running e-com or you want to potentially have someone help you on a performance basis with your marketing, I can recommend Dan extremely highly. And I appreciate you so much coming on today and sharing some wisdom, some knowledge, and having some fun with me, Dan. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.